Hey everybody, Edo here, and this behemoth is Fog of Love. It's by Jacob Jaskov, and I bumped into Jacob at Gen Con, and he had a big setup of this game, and it was just gigantic, and balloons, and all this stuff. And I started talking to him, and we just caught up, and he gave me a copy. So I had the opportunity to play, and this game is, I think they even, I'm going to board game quest it wholly unique, and I completely agree. It is a seminal, standalone, there will never be another game like it game. This clearly is the culmination of just an amazing amount of work and effort. And to call it a board game, to sort of level it with a game behind, isn't really doing it justice. It is this deep, rich, thoughtful take on relationships and looking at how what your needs and your partner's needs, how they align and how they interact and affect each other, and how the decisions you make might make you feel better but them worse. And it's just thick. Now, this is a two-player role-playing, not like adventure, but like playing as characters, storytelling game. And it's got a couple mechanical issues I have a problem with, but it really is very specific, and whether or not this game is going to be works for you, and I'm not sure, but this is like a 4 or 5, I mean, this is going to be $50 or $60 minimum, maybe more. And so it's not cheap. So I don't know if this game's for you. However, I can say without a doubt that this is just the complete and full fantastic execution of an idea. And if this game is for you, it'll blow you away. It will blow you away. But you absolutely have to enjoy sort of relationship, character, storytelling, acting, that kind of feel. If you don't do that stuff and you try to game it, I don't think it holds up. I don't think there's enough here that if you strip out what it's trying to accomplish in the narrative, and if you strip out the story and you strip out all the content and you're just playing the game, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not, you play something else. But if you add in all those other things, it's absolutely incredible. I feel lucky and privileged to have had the opportunity to play this, and I hope many people have the opportunity and time to play it. I just can't tell you it's worth the money for you, but I can tell you if you saw this and you were with somebody, played it with guys and girls. It's not like it has to be your partner when you play it. It can be, played it with Seth. That was fun. But if you see it at a con or in a library and you have a chance to check it out, do. If you are into storytelling games and you want a two-player one that's about relationships, just go buy it. So I'm not going to do the entire big setup here. You have a nice board layout here. You can see it on the back of the box. All the components, everything about this is AAA in terms of the content and quality. But you're going to set this up, and again, it's gorgeous in its simple way. But you are also here just to show you huge box, awesome insert, lots of cards. The decision tokens are great. The heart and sort of player tokens are great, and it's just great quality. And it even has little card holders in here which will pop out. So just nothing to complain about. And even Jacob was saying that they had the tutorial where you read the first page and then it's all built into the decks. And it works. It absolutely does. You open up the decks, you follow the rules. They're all ordered intentionally with tutorial cards layered through it. And your first game with a basic relationship, it takes you through it. It's a ton of reading. It is a ton of reading. It is a ton of reading, right? Like, this is not it's just a game where you're reading pages and pages and pages as you play. But it's fun, and the writing's good, and it's interesting. And it's not like explicit or over the top adult, but it's got funny things and humor and relationship interactions, and it pushes boundaries in certain areas, but like it safely pushes boundaries. But so there's a pink player and a blue player, and each player has their character card, and you can choose 2 men, 2 women, men and women, whatever you want. And you also have destiny cards, and you start the game with all of them, but you work your way down to your final destiny as you play, and there's a player aid. The heart value is sort of your satisfaction in the relationship and personally. And so each player starts, and you have some features, which are sort of outside things like long blonde hair, leather gloves, lean, jiggling legs, high heels, hairy armpits, whatever those might be. And these affect some of your traits. The traits you have are discipline, curiosity, extroversion, sensitivity, gentleness, sincerity. Those are the things that you're sort of pushing and pulling on. Those are the weights. And then you also have your occupation, what you do. I mean, there's tons of them, right? Politician, wedding planner, TV star, nurse. I mean, tons and tons of content. And then you also have your traits. Maybe those are features. These are traits. You're adventurous, disorganized. And these are the goals of those: gentleness, sincerity, extroversion, of the values you need there. So what's happening is, I put that upside down, is you either want to be low in those traits or high in those. The traits just tell you what you're going for. So you're working towards your individual balance or your team balance. And so what's the game? Well, the game is you're revealing all these scenes. And in each scene, players are going to each in hiding, choose A, B, C, or D. You read the scene, everyone makes each player chooses what their decision is going to be, and then you resolve. So for example, be honest. Do they fit me? Do you think these pants fit me? And then it gives both choose. How does the partner reply, and what reply does the player prefer? Perfect, just perfect is A. B is to be honest, not really. B and C is they do, but I'm not sure you'd really like them. They're not your style. Too plain, perhaps. And so I might say as a player, well, I'm going to say A, and my partner, I would like to hear A, and the other player's like, I'm going to say A. And so when you do that, you get the value on the traits by making those decisions, and then the player does, and then you also see if you matched or didn't match, and you can get heart points for that. That's like the basic kind. There are ones where it's one-sided or the other. There are hidden things that happen. There are interrupts. All sorts of cool cards that just expand and expand this. And you go through the tutorial and you play again and again. You just see how they layer on. And the system, it's in arcs. It starts, with the sweet, and then, you have drama and serious. And so as the chapters of the relationship progress, the moments change. And again, it's funny. You're supposed to sort of be in character. You don't have to, but the decisions are interesting, and there's just so much content, and there are these little episode packs that add more. So I mentioned earlier, I did have some problems with mechanics. Functionally, everything is well done. I mean, expertly done. Like everything, icons are clear, text is clear, what you're doing is clear. My big problem is, one, since it has the game side, since it's not purely storytelling, I want to be in character. I want to create this man or create this woman and dive into the relationship. And I've got these traits and these values I'm working towards. But mechanically, it turns into, what is the other player going to pick? Not, and then what do I want from the icons over here? And my problem is, and it gets, as you get more into it and you play it more, there's some nuances, but you sort of get railroaded into the character and into the icons. So it's like, well, I'm looking for orange up arrows. There's two. Well, I'm not going to choose the other two options because they don't help at all. Or, at some point you might say, well, that'll help some of the destinies require you to have a happy partner. Some don't, right? But the ones that do, you might try to do things that would help them be more happy, which is amazing, right? That's like a relationship thing. But you just feel like you're like, well, I'm gonna obviously I'm gonna pick this, obviously, and it's there's some weird disconnect that comes from it. It's hard to put your finger on, but you just feel like I'm not role playing the character because I'm bound to the game, and you can't break off the game well, and it's really meant to, and maybe that's some higher level comment on you're bound to your traits as an individual and you can't change it, but it just makes it sort of not feel like I can enjoy it. I can't pick the funny option on the card, right? Because it's not about what I would pick or what I would think was funny. It's about what's going to make my numbers work. Along the lines, here's my other real problem with this game. Because of that, it's impossible for one person to read the card. Because if I take a card, whatever, crocodile tears. You don't care about my feelings. You're so selfish. Player immediately after a choice made of your partner. You have to, cannot be a chapter. Player draws a new scene right after playing this. And then partner chooses, I'm sorry, it was thoughtless of me, which has an icon. And chooser -2, change the choice of the previous played scene to another option. Or B, please stop acting like a child. It's the opposite arrow, and the other player gets -2. Because there's all this gameplay in here, and because I got to look at it, the other player then has to take the card and read it and look at all the options and read what each what was this? This was a series. What each one of these things do. So what ends up happening, let me see if I'm or a different one. Here's another one. You've got the options and you've got the text underneath it. So player A can't read this in character and give player B enough information. Because that player's got to look at the options and understand that's the down arrow. They got to look at and so it bugged me the entire game. And every time I played it, it still bugged me, and it never goes away. It was never at a point where somebody could drive and read the card, and then I could feel like I didn't have to then reread it. And for a game with so much reading, the requirement that everyone plays twice, killed me. It killed me. I feel like it needs an app where we both have our phones, which is terrible in and of itself, but where we both read the same options at the same time, but it just kept taking me out. And again, every time I play, it's the combination of I can't just listen to the options and pick. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to pick B. That sounds like the best one. I have to be let me see the card. And that bothered me. And it takes away from what I thought was more interesting, the relationship stuff. You need the game to have the mechanics it has. So, look, again, this stands alone. I think it is masterful, is a word you would use. And I think if you're looking for an interesting relationship dynamics, you're going to actually, it takes you through some moments as a person where you have revelations about how relationships impact each other, and super awesome. But if you're not looking for a relationship storytelling game, you're going to have to play this first. Because it's not small. It's not going to be cheap. So, Fog of Love, very cool. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.